Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets&Quants. Welcome to a new edition of Fridays with Sandy. Before we get to our great candidate today, and Sandy Kreisberg in Boston, I wanted to remind everyone that Sandy will be with us at Center Court on actually next Saturday, on the 30th of March from midday to about 5:30 in the afternoon. He'll be doing handicapping live at Center Court at the Times Center, really cool place on 41st Street.
I'll sign autographs too.
You will do everything.
Give me a resume.
Box everything, right? You will meet and greet the legendary Sandy Kreisberg at Center Court.
Why don't we introduce our?
Yes, indeed. So we have a terrific candidate in California. Her name is Vanessa. She works in state government. She had been a lobbyist for about a year and a half for the second largest pension fund in America. She's worked in the Treasury office doing policy updates and work on legislation, and we're happy to have her here. She wants to go to her target schools: Kellogg, Ross, Fuqua, Yale, and UT Austin. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you both for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us, Vanessa. You're coming at this through the state government side of the story. That's something business schools are open to, because they view government as a business, and the stuff you've done is business-like in terms of budget analysis. And when I read through your resume, one suggestion I would make is try and even emphasize that more than you do.
Okay.
You're trying to, you think presenting yourself as a lobbyist is gonna, being a lobbyist is something a business school respects. They also respect being an analyst. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we got the good news we got here in that you're very presentable, well-spoken, etc. You've got a 680 GMAT, which with a 85 verbal, which is pretty good, and a 57% quant, which do you happen to remember the raw score on that?
I don't offhand. I'm intending to retake it, and I'm really trying to improve that quant score. I'm definitely a poet.
You know, it's funny that you say you're a poet, because you majored in cognitive neuroscience. And
yes.
Now, cognitive neuroscience, that kind of like, wow, what? You want to be a doctor at one point or something?
I did. So I actually, I went to UC San Diego. I grew up in San Diego. So I'm a first generation college student of a single mom. So I wanted to stay close to home. And so growing up with a single mom, we had a lot of challenges financially. And so especially as I entered in college in 2009, so I thought, I need a recession-proof job. I need security. So I want to go into medicine. And so that's why I went into UC San Diego with the intention of majoring in biology. And so I took chemistry, biochemistry.
Okay, let me just push this ahead a little bit. Let me ask you something. You identify as Latina. Do you have a history of, working with that community?
I think maybe not directly, but I've done, a lot of my advocacy work through student government. I think obviously being intersectional and being a good advocate for students really requires, especially UC San Diego with our large population of Latino students and first generation students. So I think perhaps
you have to highlight that on your resume and in your story.
Okay.
You're an attractive candidate. The 680 GMAT is something they'll wink at. The 3.0 GPA is like, I actually listed out the average GPAs for all your target schools there: 3.4, 3.6, 3.6, 3.4. Like, let's call it 3.5. So
how do you explain the 3.0? Because in our pre-talk, you were telling us that you had some other circumstances or something.
Yeah. You know, so I
Let
studied
me ask you,
pre-med.
did it go up?
It varied. So I, you know, I entered in and took all of the classes for a biology major, and it took me 3 years to realize that that really wasn't a good fit for me. And
Yeah.
I was very gritty. I kept taking the coursework and kept powering through. And unfortunately, I didn't course correct until I picked up a history double major. And that's where I really started to improve.
Okay, so that's the case you have to make. That this is the key sentence. My grades are not a predictor of my performance in business school. And then I would mention a couple of things. The first was you took you a while to find your footing since you're a first generation college student, and you were raised by a single mother, and then you it took you a while to discover that your interests were more in X rather than Y. Okay, and then that's just the way to state it.
Yeah.
They'll 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 believe it or not. The GMAT, if they want you, the GMAT is a better predictor to them of whether you can do their work or not.
So here's a question. I mean, in high school, I was a 4.5 GPA. I was ninth in my class. I know, I don't know whether or not it's worth highlighting that I did have a very successful GPA in high school. And it was really when I went to undergrad and had a rough start. I also worked the entire time.
You could mention that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because what they view grades, business schools view a GPA as a proxy for your ability to, you know what's coming here, John, right? Sit still, eat.
Spit it back.
Yes, sit still, eat whatever, and eat blah and spit it back. Yes. So the fact you could do that in high school, they'll go, okay, she's our type. She's got
Vanessa, you said you also were working at the time?
Yeah. So I worked every summer. I was a cashier at a bait and tackle shop in San Diego, actually. I worked, I was working 40, 50 hours a week just to make ends meet.
Yeah, get that in there too. So
And
for someone with, let me say something, for someone with a 3.0, you're an attractive candidate. And the admission, I did a little homework here. The percent, let's get to the odds here, okay? Kellogg admits 20%, Michigan 26, Duke 22, Yale 19, UT Austin 28%. That's the total, that's the percent of students they admit. Your odds could be a lot higher than that because of the Latina thing, because you've got a kind of unusual background. And, I think if you get interviewed by these places, they'd be impressed. So getting a higher GMAT score might help a little, just to show that you're devoted to it.
okay.
Man, do you ever think of developing an alternative transcript? This is the tough love.
Yes. I actually wanted to ask you about that. And, I think so I'm 28, I'll be 28 in May. So I'm definitely sensitive to the age, entering into school and applying to school. And I wanted to gauge whether or not you all thought it would be worth perhaps delaying my applications for a year and pursuing some additional coursework, or
the way people usually do it is and this is asking a lot, you take a course like macroeconomics or statistics over the summer.
Yeah.
The trouble with that is you're often competing with a lot of pre-meds. So.
Well, I've already done that, so I think I can do it again.
All right. So if you took, or if over the summer.
Don't delay applying.
No,
okay.
Don't delay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. If over the summer you took, stats or macroeconomics. If you took both of those and got like an A, schools that would get you in, quite frankly. That would really increase your chances at your target schools. Kellogg is going to be a reach simply because they're select. But man, if you had your story and an alternative transcript of a couple of A's in courses like stats and macro, you'd be a real inline candidate at Mich, Duke, Yale, and Austin, UT Austin. I think you're okay at UT Austin, even in your current state.
Okay.
The other Kellogg is always going to be a reach. It's just highly selective. And then Michigan, Duke, and Yale is where things are up in the air.
Okay.
Well, you're going to get an interview at Kellogg automatically because they interview everybody, or they try to. And Duke tries to interview people early. If you apply, if you just tell them you'd like to come in for an interview before your application, they allow that as well. I think you are highly presentable, and you should definitely take advantage of those interview opportunities because they could make a big difference. Hey, if Sandy, if she gets 20 points more, 700 on the GMAT, what difference would that make, you think? A 700 would be a big difference, even though it's only what, one or two questions answered right?
Yeah, the average GMAT at her target schools are Duke is 695, Austin is 699, Yale is 725, Mich is 708, and Kellogg is 720. So you got a 700 on the GMAT. Yeah, look, you're competing with a cohort of people like yourself. It's a small cohort, but it's very competitive. So that could get you ahead of other people in your cohort of underrepresented minority women,
single mom,
yeah,
first gen,
right. State
government job, unusual. It
They
takes
also,
it right out of the pile.
They just like the spunk. Now, we're telling you to retake the GMAT and take 2 courses.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, okay, but that's asking a lot.
Yeah, well, I really want this, and I think
that would really help. This is tough love, Vanessa, but if you could do that, that would really, really help.
As far as the coursework, I was curious as to whether or not there's a difference between taking, let's say, a UC extension course versus a community college course versus Coursera. I'm in civil service. I don't make a ton of money, and I have student loans, so I'm really looking to try to distribute my resources accordingly.
Yeah, the extension school, Coursera is something, John, I don't think it has as much impact as actually putting your body.
Agreed.
Okay.
Here's the thing about the GMAT though, and the reason why you really want to get as high a score as you can. If you can get a good enough score, you're going to get money.
Yeah.
They're going to pay you to come.
Yeah.
So that's an additional incentive to get that GMAT score up, because they'll throw money at you. And given your undergraduate loans and your income level working for the state government, I think you would very much like to have a very big scholarship. And so if you can get, if you get 700, 720, you get 720, you might get, half off or a free ride at some of these places.
With a 720, you become very attractive to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've also got a lot of great extracurriculars. So look, they'll get it. Okay, you're attractive, you're energetic, you're a community-oriented person. You work and play well with others. Those things all matter to them, as well as the 700. So that's the way it works.
Okay.
You didn't pick UCLA or Berkeley. Any reason you want to be out of California for a while?
I'm interested in exploring my options outside of California. It's I've been here my whole life. I love California, obviously, but I think it's important to get perspective and to experience somewhere else. And I think that will only make me a better civil servant should I come back to California, or a better business person to have other experiences than just being California centric.
Yeah.
Are there any other schools that you would recommend that I consider that I didn't put on my list?
Well, I know you really want a highly collaborative, close-knit culture. You know, Dartmouth Tuck would be another really interesting place for you. And you would be an unusual candidate for them, given your background. And I think that they would very well embrace you. That's another place where you can go in and get an immediate interview. You don't have to wait to pass over a first hurdle.
Yeah,
and I think that's another advantage for you.
Take a look at NYU Stern. That's where that's where your profile falls naturally.
That's true. All right. So I would definitely look at Tuck, though.
Okay.
I think that would be a really good choice for you. And, you know, the other thing you got to know is all these schools want to reach gender parity. All in your favor.
Okay.
Scholarship money.
You're going to do fine at the end of this trail. So I've got a lot of confidence in you. Great talking to you.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone out there, thanks for watching. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Catch us on Sunday with Sandy in New York City, March 30th at the New York Times Center on 41st Street. You can get your handicap odds live.
And you can get your resume signed. Okay.
There you go.
Adios.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.